I signed a contract to be his wife for 6 months. No feelings, no complications, no falling in love. I broke every single rule. The rain hammered against the floor-to-ceiling windows of his penthouse office, each drop a reminder that some storms you can't escape. I stood there, soaking wet, my cheap coat dripping onto marble floors that probably cost more than my entire year's rent. Cillian Brennan didn't look up from the contract he was sliding across his desk. He didn't need to. Men like him, billionaires who owned half of Dublin's skyline, they didn't look at women like me unless they wanted something. 6 months, he said, his voice like whiskey over ice. Play the devoted wife, attend events, smile for cameras, convince my board and my dying grandmother that I've finally settled down. My hands trembled as I picked up the pen, not from cold, though my clothes were drenched, from desperation, from the eviction notice burning a hole in my purse, from the hospital bills for my sister, Shaban, that kept multiplying like a curse I couldn't break. And in return, I whispered, 200,000 euros, he said, plus medical coverage for your sister's treatment. All of it. He finally looked up. God, those eyes. Storm gray and empty, like someone had scooped out everything warm and human and left only ice. Looking back now, I should have seen the warning signs, not in the contract, but in the way his jaw tightened when he mentioned his grandmother, in the photograph on his desk, turned face down, like even its presence was too much to bear. I signed, my hand, Aoife Callahan's hand, sealing a deal that would destroy me. The wedding happened 72 hours later. No guests. Just a judge in a gray suit, 2 strangers pulled from the hallway as witnesses, and Cillian's hand, cold and impersonal, sliding a ring onto my finger that probably cost more than my childhood home. You may kiss the bride, the judge said. Cillian's eyes met mine. For a fraction of a second, something flickered there. Pain, maybe, regret. Then it vanished, shuttered behind that impenetrable wall he'd built around himself. His kiss was brief, professional. It tasted like lies. But when he pulled back, his thumb brushed my cheek. So quick I might have imagined it, except I felt it everywhere. Welcome to your new life, Mrs. Brennan, he murmured, and it sounded like a threat. His grandmother Nora lived in a sprawling estate in County Wicklow, all stone and history and roses that climbed the walls like they were trying to escape. She was dying. Everyone knew it, though nobody said it. Cancer, eating her from the inside, leaving behind a woman who was still sharp as broken glass. So you're the girl who caught my she said the first time we met, her eyes tracking every micro-expression on my face. Don't look like a gold digger. My cheeks burned. I'm not, I started to say. My cheeks burned. I'm not, I started to say. I know, she interrupted. You look terrified. That's how I know you might actually be good for him. Cillian stood by the window, his back to us both. When Nora started coughing, violent rattling sounds that seemed to shake the whole room, he flinched but didn't turn around. If only I had realized sooner that his coldness wasn't cruelty, it was armor. Protection against a pain so deep, one more loss might shatter him completely. The first month passed in a blur of charity galas and business dinners. I played my role perfectly. The adoring wife, the elegant accessory on Cillian's arm. I learned to smile while wearing dresses that cost more than my father had made in a year before the accident that killed him. I learned to laugh at jokes I didn't find funny, told by men who looked at me like I was another acquisition. But late at night, alone in the massive house we shared but never occupied together, I'd hear him, Cillian, in his study, the clink of crystal, the rustle of papers. Sometimes, if I pressed my ear to the door, I'd hear him talking. To himself, to ghosts, I couldn't tell which. I'm sorry, he'd whisper. I'm so fucking sorry. I never asked who he was apologizing to. I was afraid of the answer. Everything changed the night of the Brennan Industries anniversary gala. I wore emerald green, Cillian's choice. It matches your eyes. The first personal comment he'd made in weeks. Then, as if catching himself being human, he'd added coldly, "And it photographs well." The ballroom glittered with Dublin's elite. Diamonds and champagne, and the kind of wealth that makes you forget. People are starving 3 streets over. I stood beside Cillian, his hand on the small of my back, possessive, protective, through the silk of my dress. Then I saw her tall, stunning, moving through the crowd like she owned it. Dark hair cascading down her back, a red dress that looked painted on, and the way she looked at Cillian, with ownership, with intimacy, with barely concealed rage. "Who is that?" I whispered. His hand tightened on my back. "No one." But I felt him tense, felt the wall he'd built around himself grow 10 feet higher. She approached. The crowd seemed to part for her, conversations dying as people watched, hungry for drama. "Cillian," she purred. "Married. How surprising." "Fiona," his voice could have frozen the sun. "You weren't on the guest list." "I'm never on any list anymore, am I?" She turned to me, and her smile was venom. "I'm Fiona Lynch. Oh, sorry, ex-fiancé. Didn't he tell you about me?" The floor tilted beneath my feet. "That's enough," Cillian said, his voice low and dangerous. "Is it? Did he tell you why I left? Did he tell you what he did?" This was the moment, the crack in his armor, and I wanted to run from what I might see inside.